Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and today what we're going to be doing is talking about a brand new Sega Dreamcast game called Xeno Crisis. Yes, in the year 2020, the worst year ever, we are still getting brand new Sega Dreamcast games, and I love it. This is actually the first new Dreamcast game for 2020, and I hear you going, you did a video on Volgar. Do you not even remember that? That wasn't that long ago. Yes, but Volgar wasn't technically a new game for 2020, because I mean, it depends on how you define it. It either came out in 2015, or 2016, or 2017, or 2018, or 2019, like, whatever. Point is, Volgar didn't technically see the Dreamcast release until earlier. But this one really, yeah, just came out in 2020. Now, the story with this game is interesting. It has a few points that I find interesting, anyway. It was originally a Kickstarter project, and I supported it. And I remember backing it specifically for the Dreamcast version. I was a little surprised when a Sega Genesis version showed up, when it did. This came in a while ago. I showed this in an episode of Playload. I didn't even, I'm being totally real with you guys, like, I did not even remember that I had apparently backed it for the Genesis. But hey, it exists on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive if you're interested in getting it. It's funny, when it came out, I received a ton of tweets about it because, other than just, hey, did you know there's a new Genesis game? Like a good one, not some like weird clone game or anything bizarre like that, like a straight up like good new game. But people were like, I keep having to rescue you in it. And I was like, the hell are they talking about? And I had to go back and look at my Kickstarter like support tier to find out that I had apparently backed it to become an NPC in the game. So this game actually plays a lot like Robotron 2084 if it was made by SNK. It just has like this Metal Sluggy type of vibe, but the game mechanics are kind of like a more modernized version of Robotron 2084, kind of where you're like, there's a flat plane and you have a central character who kind of has to shoot in all directions and kill aliens, more or less. But anyway, there's hostages that repeatedly show up. Kind of think the hostages in Metal Slug, except instead of going over just like cutting them free or whatever, you kind of have to kill everything around them and then save them or whatever. But I'm one of the hostages. So I had a bunch of people, once I figured that out, there are a lot of people like, dude, you're really masochistic, I think, because you just constantly are getting kidnapped. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, it's funny, take it for whatever. But anyway, so yeah, that was the game. And then finally now, the Dreamcast version is out, and it is here, and we are going to talk about it and show it and all that fun stuff. You know, another thing that's fun about, or interesting about this game is, I don't even know if I made this very clear. The Dreamcast does still get new games every once in a while, but those new games are not done by Sega or even authorized by them. They're more or less just, you know, Sega, I know, thinks that they're neat, but they have nothing to do with them. They don't stop them from happening, but they also can't officially support them or anything like that. But, yeah, and so they don't get in the way. They're not like Nintendo, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah, so these games get made and they're pressed on CD-ROMs, not GD-ROMs, which is what the Dreamcast originally used, but when games are produced on CD-ROMs, as long as they have the right kind of code, they will run on a Dreamcast. And so, as long as you build them with that in mind, it's just like, as far as the Dreamcast is concerned, it's just like playing any other legitimate game, which is great. So it's neat that that feature keeps it alive and it allows it to continue to run, and the fact that Sega doesn't interfere is even better. So I gotta give props, man. There's so many passionate fans that keep that going, and usually that passion comes through in various reasons for the Dreamcast. Sometimes somebody's making a game and they just kind of port it over to the Dreamcast because it's easy, and other times there's projects where somebody's like super into the Dreamcast, so they build a game just for it, and other times it's, you know, just, it can be any number of random circumstances. So I don't know their motives in this case. I think they did this more as a Genesis game than they did it as a Dreamcast game. But that said, I'm happy about it anyway. It's still awesome to have a brand new Dreamcast game. And what's interesting to me is that I was trying to go through my memory on this, but there's these days, when it comes to the Dreamcast, particularly for the last like 3 years, every single game that's come out on the Dreamcast has been published by a buddy of mine named Phil, and he runs a company called JoshProd. JoshProd tends to be responsible for essentially everything on the Dreamcast these days. Like, the last game that he had nothing to do with, as far as I know, at least he didn't publish it, I can tell you that, was a game called Alice Dreams Tournament, which was incidentally also done by a French company, and he is French, so it's possible he at least collaborated, but at least, I don't know, he didn't publish it, that much I can tell you. This would be the first game since then that he had nothing to do with. So where I'm going with that is I love Phil and I love what he's done. And I love the Josh Prod, like all of that. But it's awesome to see somebody else working on the Dreamcast. This one would be created and ultimately published by the Bitmap Bureau, which I believe is their only foray into the Dreamcast, but I'm happy that they did it. So anyway, enough of that. Let's open it up and take a look at it. So, as I mentioned before, these are pressed onto CD-ROMs. They're also given like full artwork and all that sort of stuff and nice cases. It's not like some CDR where a guy wrote on there with a Sharpie and said like, oh yeah, here's my game that you paid money for. It's like, no, they take the time. They do the work. Ooh, I like that. I like the case. So this game has 3 different versions. There's an American style, which is what I've got right here. There's a PAL style, and there's a Japanese style. And when I was supporting it, you could pick, whichever one you want. Now, functionally, they're all identical. It's all region-free discs. It doesn't actually matter. It's purely cosmetic, what you like going into your collection. So in this case, like I said, I've got the American one. The disc very much looks like an American-style Dreamcast disc. Like it just straight up really looks like one. I like that. And there's the artwork that was hidden behind it. Very nice. Of course, the front and rear artwork as well. Now, I'm going to struggle a little bit to get this out of here, but the manual looks very thick, and it looks like it is reversible. So they give you 2 American-style designs. One like that, and the other like that. I'm not sure which one I prefer, to be honest with you. This one kind of gives me like more of a Metal Gear, a Resident Evil type of vibe. Whereas the other one, it looks like just, I don't know, it kind of has like an SNK vibe. And since I said it felt SNK, maybe I'll leave that way. I don't know yet. I'll make that decision. But anyway, let's look inside the manual. It looks to be, it's full color. It's got a storyline, introduction, instructions on how to play. It supports the controller, obviously. It supports the arcade stick. It's got character bios, and wow, this is actually really detailed. It's got all sorts of information on the hostages and weapons and stuff about the VMU. So yeah, very cool. I like this. I like this. I like this.
Commander Darius, we have a code red distress signal from Outpost 88.
We have no time to lose, Lieutenant. Dispatch a squad of our finest Marines. Buckle up, meatheads. Prepare for half a boost.
Approaching now, sir. I have a bad feeling about this.
Alright, I thought you guys would enjoy that intro without any sort of context. Has a very James Cameron's Aliens type of vibe to it, which is kind of perfect, why it's called Xeno Crisis, like Xenomorph. And those 2 characters there, man, like, I think that's why I think that, because the girl looks straight like Jill Valentine, so she's giving this Resident Evil vibe, and the dude looks just like straight out of Metal Slug, so that's probably why I get this like SNK version of, Robotron 2084 with like some Resident Evil inspirations. And what I mean by Robotron 2084 is if you ever played that game, the controlling is very similar. You're essentially, you don't move the character in like a 360 degree angle to shoot at things. What you do is you press on the Dreamcast, it's the A, B, X, and Y buttons, and so like the A button on the Dreamcast is the one furthest down of those 4 face buttons. So you would press that to shoot down. To shoot to the right, you would press B, and the Y button to shoot up, and then the X button to shoot left. So you're constantly rotating with those. And then the character moves forward in whatever direction you want based on whatever position you have him facing, I believe. And you use the D-pad in order to move him around. So you're collecting, the dog tags there, and you have to clear every room. So here's a couple of the hostages. Now, neither of those are me, but apparently I am in there. You would find me if you played enough. Mike Phelan, that name sounds really familiar. I feel like, dude, we've interacted before, possibly even through just like YouTube comments or something. I don't know, that just got my attention. And then the other one was Adam. It was faux Adam. It was the fake Adam. It's not me. But yeah, anyway, so I thought you guys would kind of enjoy just checking this out. I'll catch up with you guys at the very end, though.
Thank you!
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I actually don't know where to tell you to get this game. I'll put a link in the description because, to be honest with you, I'm not entirely certain where you can buy this now because this was a Kickstarter project. But if you're interested, I'll try and find a link for you. But thank you very much for, the Bitmap Bureau for making the game. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys could check out the social media stuff in the description, I always appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.